Hi, it's Katrina. From an island ruled by a pirate king to stolen books worth millions, here are 10 incredible archaeological treasures. Number 10. Greek Island Treasure Trove. An abandoned Greek island called Vryokastraki is a small rocky islet near the island of Kithnos in the Aegean Sea. While it might not seem like much, this place is actually full of treasures that reveal the story of a pirate king. Archaeologists are excavating several sites and have found a fortress and all kinds of clay pottery and bronze figurines. Even though no one lives on the island now, it was poppin' back in the day. People lived here continuously from the 12th century BC to the 7th century AD. During ancient times, there were pirates all over the Aegean Sea, and war was always going on. The fortress complex had 15 rooms and was fortified with a large wall that was meant to protect people from attackers. Measuring 250 feet long, it was made up of enormous stones that blocked the only access to the port. While you might think that the poor people living here were trying to keep the violent pirates out, turns out that over 2,000 years ago, the island was ruled by a pirate king. A collection of inscriptions found at the complex reveals that there was an infamous pirate called Glaucetus, who wreaked havoc during the 4th century BC. In the inscriptions, Glaucetus is called the ruler of the islands, and he most likely used this island and others as a base to attack shipping vessels. It's perfect! He could go out, attack, and then return to his fort. He also counted on support from the Macedonians. His name is conspicuously absent from most historical sources, possibly due to the Athenians' embarrassment over his rule in a territory that they said was theirs. But honestly, at the time, they had no control over the pirates. However, in the end, according to the inscription, the Athenians ultimately pushed Glaucetus out, despite his support from the Macedonians. Other inscriptions were found on blocks in other rooms. One mentioned a fine someone had to pay for breaking the law, and another talks about an award someone received, but much of the text is missing. The small team also uncovered a Christian basilica made from the stones of the earlier classical buildings, indicating that the island was also home to a small Christian community. However, it seems that in the 7th century, pirates were still a problem, and residents completely abandoned the island for a bigger one nearby. Number 9. Iron Age Jewels. In early 2017, archaeologists working in southern Germany discovered the treasure-filled tomb of an Iron Age woman who laid undisturbed for some 2,600 years. She was laid to rest at the Huenberg Hill Fort near the Danube River in 583 BC. The remains indicate that the woman, who stood at 5 foot 3 inches tall, was likely an elite member of Celtic society. She was between 30 and 40 years old when she died and was buried with a large hoard of treasure all around her. There was amber, gold, and bronze jewelry, furs and textiles, bronze jingle bells that once hung on a horse's chest, black stone bracelets, a bronze and leather belt, and an ornament made from boar's horns. Interestingly, the grave contained a petrified sea urchin and an extinct mollusk called an ammonite, leading experts to believe that she was a priestess of some sort. Lead researcher Dirk Kraus told Live Science that this was the first richly furnished burial that had not been looted. They were able to open it in pristine condition. Located just north of the Alps, Huenberg was a Celtic city-state founded during the 6th century BC. Although locals have long known about it, archaeological excavations did not begin until 1950. By then, it was too late to save some of the site's contents from thieves. Thankfully, they somehow missed the wealthy woman's grave. And now for number 8. But first, want to say a big shout out to Melanie Click, future archaeologist in the house, and to Victor Robles. Thanks so much for supporting this channel. If you are new here, welcome, and be sure to subscribe before you go. Number 8. New Dead Sea Scrolls. For the first time in 60 years, archaeologists have discovered new Dead Sea Scrolls. Found in a remote desert cave south of Jerusalem, to reach the site, a team from the Israel Antiquities Authority rappelled down a steep cliff into the canyon below. Hanging from the cliff, they could enter the Cave of Horrors, named because of the dozens of human remains found inside. Some artifacts and remains date way before the time of the Bible. The skeleton of a child found in the cave dates back to 6,000 years ago, and a basket dates back to over 10,000 years ago. The dozens of tiny parchment fragments contain biblical texts written in Greek from the books of Zechariah and Nahum. The scraps of the biblical texts say, "Speak the truth to one another, render true and perfect justice in your gates, and do not contrive evil against one another. and do not love perjury because those are things that I hate, declares the Lord. Experts believe that the scrolls, which were radiocarbon dated to the 2nd century, were hidden 1,900 years ago amid an armed Jewish uprising against Rome during the reign of Emperor Hadrian. Known as the Bar Kokhba Revolt, the rebellion lasted from 132 to 136 AD. Thanks to the arid desert climate, numerous other well-preserved objects were found alongside the new scrolls, including olive pits, a lice comb, and remnants of clothing and sandals. Archaeologists have been working for years to protect the treasures in the cave system and stop them from getting stolen. They are rappelling down cliffs trying to get there first, which is not an easy task since thieves seem to work 24/7 and are always one step ahead. Number 7. Lost Crown Centerpiece. Metal detectorist Kevin Duckett of Northamptonshire, England, received the surprise of a lifetime when he spotted what he thought was a crumpled piece of foil peeking out from the dirt in a field. He took a second look, however, and realized that he had found something potentially very valuable. The rush of adrenaline and the buzz of excitement started to flow through my body, Duckett said in an interview with The Sun's Paul Sims. I was holding what appeared to be a heavy, solid gold and enameled figurine. The 2.5-inch statuette, which depicts the 15th century monarch King Henry VI, may be the missing diadem from King Henry VIII's coronation crown, which was worn by Henry VIII himself. It was also worn by his 5 successors during their coronations. Researchers have long thought the piece was lost to history, having possibly been melted down and its jewels sold in separate pieces after the British monarchy fell in 1649. Duckett's discovery stands to disprove this assumption and suggests that the piece, which would have been destroyed during times of war and chaos, survived by chance. He found the figurine near where the 1645 Battle of Naseby took place. The battle resulted in King Charles I being defeated and deposed, and Duckett believes the monarch may have lost the diadem while fleeing the battleground. The historic loss is our gain. Number 6. Rare Map. The most important map of Australia made before the arrival of the British mysteriously disappeared. Back in 1659, before Europeans had fully explored Australia, Dutch cartographer Jean Blau created a map of the continent. Much of the eastern coastline is missing in this depiction, known as the Archipelagus Orientalis, or Eastern Archipelago. He probably just didn't make it that far. However incomplete, the map is important because it was created over a century before Captain James Cook reached the continent and created a map of his own. Live Science reports that this map contains the earliest details of the sighting of Tasmania by seafarer Abel Tasman, who saw Tasmania in 1642. He went and planted a Dutch flag on it. There are only a handful of known copies of Blau's map in existence, including one that was printed in 1663 and went missing. Good news is it was found again in 2010. An antique bookseller died and it showed up in his estate. The map was sold at auction in Sweden and then acquired by the National Library of Australia. Researchers believe the map went into storage in 1950 when the bookseller went out of business. But who knows where else it was in the past? Ryan Stokes, chair of the National Library of Australia Council, said that the fact it survived at all is remarkable and probably owes much to the fact no one knew it existed for about a century. It was extremely fragile, NLA Manager of Preservation Dennell Claufley said. Just looking at it, you thought it was going to fall apart. Now the Priceless map has been completely restored. Number 5. Treasures of Roman Egypt. In mid-2018, the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities announced the discovery of a huge red brick building believed to be a Roman bath. Inside was a mountain of treasures. Found at the San El Hagar archaeological site in Tanis, the cache of artifacts consisted of a statue of a ram, a gold coin featuring King Ptolemy III, pottery vessels, terracotta statues, bronze tools, and a stone fragment inscribed with hieroglyphics. The items of the building, which is especially large for Roman times at 52 feet long, likely date back to the Greco-Roman era. Archaeologists were especially intrigued by the gold coin featuring Ptolemy III, which his son, King Ptolemy IV, created in his memory between 221 BC and 205 BC. The 1-ounce piece, which measures 1 inch in diameter, shows Ptolemy III in an extravagant crown on one side and a cornucopia symbol of prosperity on the other. At the time of the discovery, the Ministry of Antiquities announced plans to continue excavating at the site to learn more about how the building was used. Number 4. Stolen Books. One night in January 2017, over 200 books that are considered historically priceless and monetarily valued at over $3.2 million were stolen from a transit warehouse near London while awaiting shipment to a specialist in Las Vegas. The sophisticated thieves cut a hole into the building's roof and descended inside, cleverly avoiding security sensors along the way. Just like Mission Impossible, they balanced on rafters and on the tops of bookshelves to grab the first edition works by some of the greatest minds in the world. Losing the books written by Galileo, Sir Isaac Newton, and 18th century painter Francisco Goya was nothing short of a travesty. These books are extremely valuable, but more importantly, they are irreplaceable and are of great importance to international cultural heritage, London Metropolitan Police Detective Inspector Andy Durham said after the heist. For 3 years, police searched 45 properties in the UK, Romania, and Italy, hoping to find the books. Incredibly, 3 years later, police actually found them in a hidden space beneath a floor while raiding a house in rural Romania. The thieves were found after a rental car agency reported a strange cleaning fluid smell in the car they had used for the heist. While the thieves tried to clean up after themselves, they left a smudge of DNA on the headrest of the rental, which had been seen on the surveillance tape. The theft was ultimately traced to a gang connected to the Clamparu organized crime family. Authorities suspect that the gang carried out as many as 11 other burglaries in London using the same strategies. 12 out of 13 people pled guilty after being charged with conspiracy to commit burglary for incidents between December 2016 and April 2019. Meanwhile, the books were returned to their rightful owners. Durham told The Guardian that it was emotional to see the grateful owners reunited with their treasured works. Number 3. King Bluetooth's treasure. While combing for valuables on the German island of Rügen in early 2018, a 13-year-old treasure hunter and his teacher discovered a trove of valuable artifacts that may have belonged to the legendary Viking-born Danish king Harald Bluetooth. The metal detectorists initially thought they had stumbled upon a piece of aluminum, but realized upon taking a closer look that they had found silver. The pair notified authorities, who commissioned an excavation of the 4,300 square foot site. Archaeologists unearthed braided necklaces, pearls, brooches, a Thor's hammer, rings, and as many as 600 chipped coins that they believe may have belonged to King Harald Gormson, better known as Bluetooth, who reigned from 958 to 986 AD. Bluetooth is credited with unifying Denmark and introducing Christianity to the region while rejecting Old Norse religion. And if you're wondering whether today's Bluetooth technology was named after him, the answer is yes. Over 100 of the coins date back to the time when Bluetooth ruled over an area encompassing modern-day Denmark, northern Germany, southern Sweden, and parts of Norway. The oldest coin in the hoard is a Damascus dirham minted in 714. This trove is the biggest single discovery of Bluetooth coins in the southern Baltic Sea region and is therefore of great significance, lead archaeologist Michael Sheeran told national news agency DPA. Evidence indicates that the treasure was buried during the late 980s, around the same time Bluetooth went to Pomerania, fleeing from a rebellion started by his own son. Number 2. The Tsar's treasures. During the immediate aftermath of the Cold War in 1991 and 92, mysterious shipments of exorbitantly valuable treasures were shipped to the United States. Reporting for Live Science, which obtained U.S. Census Bureau documents relating to the incident in 2017, Owen Jarvis wrote that 3 separate shipments, worth an estimated $164 million cumulatively, were sent from the Soviet Union and Turkey to New Orleans. That would be $285 million in today's money. Included in the shipments were several items belonging to the family of Russia's last Tsar, but nobody knows exactly what the shipments consist of. Records indicate that 2 of the shipments contained antiques of an age exceeding 100 years, valued at $80 million and $81 million respectively. The third shipment, valued at $3 million, contained furniture of an age exceeding 100 years. The identity of whoever imported the goods is protected via the Uniform Trade Secrets Act, which prevents U.S. Customs and Border Protection from releasing such information. Representatives from the agency told Live Science that they also cannot say whether the deliveries were shipped by the same sender. You may be surprised to learn that it's not uncommon for extremely valuable goods worth millions and beyond to cross international borders. These items include artwork, antiques, and other treasures, but publicly available information does not provide specific details. Live Science reached out to people who may have information about these and some other such shipments, but everyone declined to comment or did not respond to requests for comment. Now I really want to know what treasures were inside and where they ended up, don't you? Number 1. Etruscan treasures. In March 2014, Italian authorities provided Swiss officials with information about a stolen sarcophagus that they believed may have been stolen in an illegal excavation in Italy and smuggled into Switzerland. Law enforcement proceeded to search a warehouse in Geneva, where they found dozens of artifacts that were likely unearthed at ancient cemeteries in central Italy's Umbria and Lazio regions, including 2 terracotta sarcophagi, bas-reliefs, vases, frescoes, statue heads, busts, and religious items. The objects come from an area where the Etruscan civilization thrived around 2,500 years before the Roman Empire rose to power. They were stored at the Geneva Free Port for around 15 years under the name of an offshore company before authorities discovered and seized them. They were returned to Italy. Meanwhile, legal paperwork claimed that a high-profile British art dealer, whose name has been linked in the past to the trading of several looted antiquities throughout the world, was responsible. The media quickly pointed the finger at a dealer named Robin Symes, who was previously accused of selling stolen antiquities, and who is also connected to Giacomo Medici, a former dealer who was convicted in 2004 of trafficking antiquities. It is illegal to export, import, or transfer cultural property across international lines per the 1973 UNESCO Convention. Switzerland did not sign the convention in 2003, but has been extremely cooperative with it, having returned stolen cultural antiquities to their rightful countries on numerous occasions. However, there are always gray areas and loopholes. Thanks for watching! Which treasure was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you'd like to see more incredible archaeological treasures. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon!